What is going on, guys? I hope you're having a great day. I wanted to make a really quick video today talking about what I think, my personal opinion, are the top 5 design flaws of the C8 generation of the Corvette. Mind the dirty garage. I'm prepping to go to college and I have a couple of sisters moving into apartments, so there's a lot of stuff being moved around right now and it's kind of a mess. So I do apologize for that. Now, with any new generation of a vehicle, there's going to be some flaws, some things that need to be altered to better the all-around experience of that vehicle. I subjected myself to be part of this test group for the 2020 Corvette by purchasing a first-year model of a new generation. And these are the top 5 things that I have found to be design flaws of the 2020 Corvette. I'm not going to waste any time. Let's go ahead and get into the first thing. Alrighty, getting right into the first thing. My first complaint and the first design flaw of the C8 Corvette is the design of the front bumper and the way that there's no mesh protecting these front radiators. As you can see on my vehicle, I have just about 26,000 miles and these are torn up. They've been obliterated by bugs, rocks, other road debris, just from having absolutely no protection and being right off the ground right here at the front of the car. Now, a lot of you guys will probably have seen that there's some aftermarket mesh that can go in between those holes in the front grille that is meant to protect those radiators a little bit more. I will link one down below. I don't have one myself, so I won't be able to speak for any specific brand. But in the future years of the C8 and when the Z06 comes out, you'll probably see something that they implement stock to protect those radiators. It's going to be really interesting to see how those hold up long term and to see if that actually affects the cooling or if those need to be replaced at low mileage. But that is the first design flaw on my list. I had to go ahead and open the garage door to get a little bit more light in here, but the number 2 thing that I think is a design flaw of the C8 Corvette is the fitment of the stock wheels. Now, I'm not super worried about the size. That gap is pretty sizable. I think that's like a 3 or 4 finger gap. But that's not my main concern. If you look at the stock width or offset, they're so far concave to the fender that it just doesn't look quite right. If you'll see here from the side of the car, you can see how concave the wheels are. Look at that. I just think they could have done a much better job with the fitment of the stock wheels, because to me, that just looks incomplete. It makes the entire stance of the car just a little bit less aggressive than it could be, simply because of how concave the stock wheels are. Again, that's something that can be fixed aftermarket by using spacers or wider wheels, but like I said, I'm just going over the top 5 things stock on the car that I think are design flaws. Oh man, that really just is not good. Not good at all. Going on to number 3, this is a huge annoyance when it comes to keeping your car clean and keeping your engine bay clean when you want to show it off at car meets, etc. Also, I know those bugs are really loud. You can probably hear those. It's June here in Kansas. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry about that. If you look at the back of the car, you have your back glass that sees into your engine bay, and you have these vents. Now, these are great for letting out heat, and you will actually see when the car is hot, you will see heat waves kind of dissipating through those vents. And this isn't really a design flaw because they're good for what they were designed for, but maybe more of an oversight. If you're washing the car and you're spraying foam or water on it, it drips right through there and gets all over your engine bay. 1, it gets your engine bay super dirty, you've got water spots everywhere, and it all just kind of gets dusty. But 2 is if your engine bay is really hot, those water spots bake on there and they are so hard to get off. I will show you my engine bay right now. I guarantee you it's dirty. There's just like a layer of grime everywhere. And a lot of that stuff in there, you can't even get in there and clean, like the wiring and a lot of those things down further down in the engine bay, but they all get covered in water spots and kind of dusty. So that's my number 3 complaint. Now, this 4th complaint is a little bit speculative. If you've been around on my channel for a little while, you know I had a lot of issues with my transmission and my car was in the shop for over 2 months. I speculate that these cars could potentially have long-term transmission issues. Now, one reason that I think this is because at 7,500 miles, you're supposed to do your first filter change for the transmission, and then every 22,500 miles after that, you are again supposed to change the transmission filter. Now, to me, that seems like a pretty short interval, and my speculation is backed up by the fact that when I had my transmission replaced because it was having issues, I was told by the tech that I worked with that the reason it needed to be changed was because the inside of the transmission was so dirty that it was clogging up sensors and other things, and the transmission was getting confused. Now on a car with 26,000 miles that has already had 2 transmission filter changes and 1 transmission fluid change, you wouldn't think that that would be cause for a bad transmission, but it was. And this is something that a few other C8 owners have seen. Now I believe that my C8 is one of the highest mileage in the world, so we haven't been able to see this in a longer term example, and we won't be able to see how my car holds up long term as of yet with this new transmission. But I speculate that these dual clutch transmissions could have issues long term in the fact that mine needed to be replaced at 26,000 miles because of how dirty it was on the inside, and the fact that GM Chevrolet has put these transmission filter changes in such close intervals kind of tells me something. So that's something we'll be able to look at long term. I can't 100% tell you for a fact that these cars will have transmission issues long term, but that's something that I speculate about. Now, my 5th complaint is something that completely comes down to personal preference. Now, I love the interior of the 2020 Corvette. I've spent a lot of time in it. It's very comfortable long-term on road trips. The sound system is great. It has all your creature comforts, heated seats, cooled seats, heated steering wheel. It's a great place to be when you're driving the car. I think it looks really cool. It's got a fighter jet theme going on, and I actually really like this strip of controls. While a lot of people are like, wow, that must be so confusing, once you've driven the car for more than an hour, it's really, really simple to use. But I think my one complaint is just how tall this center tunnel is. A lot of times you'll be steering. If you're driving on a windy road or on a track, it's really easy to bring your elbow down and hit that center tunnel right there. It doesn't give you a lot of room to move your right arm right here. I like how they implemented this cover on the mode changer that changes the drive mode of the vehicle as a handrest. You can kind of set your hand right there, but if you have drinks in the cup holder, it makes that completely useless because if you have a drink right there, there's nowhere to put your arm. And while that's kind of just like a little nitpicky thing, don't pick on me in the comments for saying that's like overreacting to something that's not that big of a deal. It isn't a huge deal, and it has not compromised my driving experience as a whole in this car. I absolutely love this car, but these were just my 5 things that I think are design flaws or maybe things to look out for in the future. So if there's any buyers out there that wanted to hear from an owner of a Corvette that's put 26,000 miles on their car, what some flaws and potential issues might be, these are my top 5. But overall, I absolutely love this car. In my personal experience, it is the best all-around car that I have ever driven. When combining performance with comfort and daily drivability, this car is an amazing bang for your buck. That's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you had any questions or comments on things I said in this video, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. See you later.